In this video, I'm going to show you how to do focus stacking with the CamRanger 2. I'm using a Nikon camera, but the CamRanger 2 also works with Canon, Sony, and Fujifilm cameras, and we have separate focus stacking videos for each of those cameras. Focus stacking is the process of taking multiple images and combining them together for enhanced depth of field. Particularly in macro photography, the depth of field of a single image is very shallow. So, you can do a process of taking multiple images and adjusting the focus slightly between each capture. You then combine these images, or stack them together, to create a single image with a much larger depth of field. It's often used in macro photography for, say, insect pictures or of small product photography images like rings or other jewelry. This process obviously can be very tedious or difficult, so many small changes and captures. So the CamRanger 2 can actually make it pretty simple by automating it for you. And it's pretty easy to set up and use. Let's jump into the app and see how it works. Now, to do focus stacking with the CamRanger, first you need to press the I button to turn on live view. So here we have a scene of a ruler set up with our Nikon and macro lens. To access the focus tab, press the magnifying glass, and you can see at the top are incremental focus adjustment buttons in large, medium, and small sizes, where down moves it closer to the camera, and up moves it further from the camera. And then at the bottom is our focus stacking section. You'll see 1 and 2. That indicates the two focus positions of the nearest focus distance of interest and the farthest focus distance. Now, these are not setting like focus points, like you think of focus points on the camera. They're just merely positions designating the focal distance. Now, to set the near point, you can use any method to change the focus. That could be physically moving the camera lens, incremental focus adjustments, or in our case, we'll just do a touch focus. Tell it to get focus nearer the beginning of the ruler. That looks good, so we'll go ahead and hit set. And the first time it'll pop up a little message telling you how the focus stacking works. And the important part to note is that touch focusing will clear your focus points. What the CamRanger actually does is track the adjustments that are made of the focus. And so if we do a touch focus, we can't track those incremental adjustments anymore, and so we need to reset our points. So we only want to adjust focus with the incremental adjustment buttons. And those are these buttons here. So we have the first point set, and now we want to move further away for the far point. And you can see that adjusting. Okay, now we'll go ahead and hit set under our far position, position 2. Now you'll notice 1 and 2 are now buttons. We can press 1 to move the focus to our near position, and we can press 2 to move the focus to our far position. So that can be a pretty useful feature. Now you'll notice this 0/175. That's provided solely for informational purposes. Effectively, what that's showing you is between position 1 and 2, there are 175 steps. Those steps are specific to the camera and don't really have any real-world meaning. But you'll notice right now it's 0/175. If we move to position 2, it's 175/75. And if we do an incremental adjustment, you can see those changing. Again, that's not anything that needs to be paid attention to, but there are cases when it can be useful. So we'll move back to the beginning. Then I'll press the plus button to show some advanced settings. You can see the focal length here showing we're using a 50mm lens. Then the number of shots and the step size in the stack. See, the CamRanger will automatically determine roughly how many shots need to be taken within the focus stack. It does a pretty good job determining how many shots to take and with a reasonable level of overlap, but there are definitely instances where the user may want to change that value. How that's done is with the adjustment factor, and the default is 1. Let's say we change it to 2. You can see now the number of shots has decreased, so there will be a larger change of focus between each shot. Now, we probably don't want to do this, and we'll probably end up with sections out of focus between our shots, so we'll go ahead, go back to the default of 1. Now, of course, the aperture will affect things as well, as the aperture affects depth of field. Right now, it's f2.8, which is pretty wide open for a macro shot. I'll go ahead and set that to f11, and you can see our number of shots has decreased. This makes sense because the depth of field has increased, which you can see in our live view. Now, I'll go ahead and press start, and it will go through and automate the process of capturing the picture, adjusting the focus, capture the picture, adjust the focus. Now, the time in which it takes does depend on the camera. Again, this is a Nikon being used, and you can see for focus stacking, it's reasonably fast. We'll wait for the 11 images to complete. And it tells us that our stack is complete. If we view the images, we can see as we scroll through them, the focus changing slightly further away each time. Particularly if we jump, let's say this is the last image in the sequence, this is the first, so you can really see the focus does indeed change. Now, it's important to note that the CamRanger 2 does not do any sort of post-processing on the images. It just collects the images for you. You'll need to use some sort of third-party software to do the post-processing. And there's a few different options. Personally, I like using Zareen Stacker. That's a good option, but there are others including Photoshop or Helicon Focus. Lastly, I will call out the original CamRanger used a different focus stacking method, and you can still use that one by going to the Settings, Controls and Workflow, and then turn on Classic Focus Stacking. Now, this doesn't have the same smarts as the new focus stacking method. Rather, you just tell it how many shots to take, let's say 10 shots, and whether you want to do a medium, large, or small step size. And then when you hit start, it simply automates the process of capturing, adjusting the focus by a medium step size in this case, capture, adjust the focus, capture. So it does not, the CamRanger 2 does not tell you here how many shots you should take, what your step size should be. It's all on the user to configure it. But there are instances when the user may want to do that, such as if they're familiar with the CamRanger original focus stacking method and just want to replicate that. Well, I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching. Bye.